Here's one towards the goal. That's going to be blocked by Travis Ridgen.
Well, this is more like it.
This is Slangin' the Biscuit. Here's Travis Ridgen and Dave Wheeler.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Slangin' the Biscuit podcast. This is going to be episode 52 of the show. It's been 1 year of us doing the show together, by the way. You realize that?
Hey, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary.
I'm still looking forward to episode 69. That's one I've been looking forward to for
Oh, God.
68
No.
episodes.
We'll never get there because now we go into season whatever and we start back at 1.
I don't know if that's how it works, though. Like, I feel like the new season is like if, let's say, like you left the show or whatever, that would be season 3. I don't want to go to season 3. I want to keep season 2 rolling for like 500 episodes plus.
Wow. It's like including last year's stats into this year's stats as far as the win column.
I don't know. That's a good point you make. I don't know. Maybe the listeners can help us out. What do you think? Are we going to get into season 3 when I report down to Watertown, or is it just season 2 and we just roll on through? I don't know.
Listen, not to get into too many semantics. We talked a lot about that on one of the master classes that we did there last month. But look at it this way: when you're making reference to one of your favorite television shows, like How I Met Your Mother, if you reference certain points, you're like, "Oh, that's from season 2. Oh, that's from season 3. Oh, I remember that from season 4."
I don't know. And let the viewers know. The viewers can let us know. What do you think? Should it be season 3? Should we carry on with season 2?
Find out next week. Find out next week if we move on to episode 53 or if it's brand new.
That's true. I do have 1 week to make the decision. By the way, I just want to say for the record, because obviously we haven't done a show together in what feels like a month. Actually, it has been a month. When I was in Winnipeg, in the mornings, going to my skates, by the way, shout out to my mom for letting me borrow her wagon so I don't have to walk all the way into downtown Winnipeg with my gear to the Winter Club. I had the radio on, and I know we talk about it every single episode about how you've had the number 1 morning show in the city for 20 plus years. But I never appreciate it until I go into the city. I turn the radio on. I listen to the other radio stations. I'm like, God, throw it back to Dave. I'm so fortunate to have my co-host that I do.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I'll always take the tire pump. But it's interesting, and I'll relate this a little bit to what the SAG-AFTRA and the WAG is going through right now with the writer strike and the actor strike down in Hollywood. There's a lot of people up top who are thinking about, hey, how can we do this cheaper? How can we cut out a lot of people and make more profit? And my industry, the terrestrial radio industry, has been going through that for a long time. I mean, I was lucky enough that when I started in radio over 25 years ago, I got to cut my teeth doing overnights, midnight to 6, evenings and weekends. Those positions don't exist anymore. They don't. It's all automated. It's all done by a computer, like no different than Spotify, setting up a playlist. Somebody goes, and even if they have a voice overnight in between songs, it's usually pre-recorded. There is next to nobody that is actually doing a show live. But what a great opportunity to get in there, make mistakes, be able to be comfortable, get a little confident. But now they expect you to be really good or you're out. And so, unfortunately, the talent pool has gone down. And it's actually kind of a credit to your industry where there's so many leagues available for guys and girls to go in and play hockey and really still develop through their prime years. So, yeah, credit to industries that haven't been affected yet by computers and machines and AI. But, yeah, it's coming for the entertainment sector. I mean, who knows? Episode or season 3 of this show could be just AI version of Travis and AI version of Dave. I don't know.
Have you seen that video floating around, that viral video of the AI goalie? I know we talked about this a couple episodes ago. There is an AI goalie. Have you seen that?
Are we talking about the one where you put on the headset and you stop pucks, like that thing?
No. Like somebody designed an actual like automated intelligence robot goaltender in the net. So it's just like a giant tin can. They put a glove, a blocker, and a helmet on, and someone's controlling it with a controller, almost like a drone controller, like a Game Boy, and it's just like shuffling around. It's like moving in the net. The glove opens. I saw this on TikTok the other day. I couldn't believe it, and the first thing I thought was, Dave was right. I'm going to be replaced soon, just like the cashiers of Walmart.
Well, if it's still being controlled by a human, then it's technically not AI. But if they actually created a robot, and listen, I've seen in the golf industry where they've set up a machine that's able to swing a club and able to hit distances, and they put a different club in the clutches of this beast and is able to swing a club and get really good results and hit fades and draws and straight and backspin and all that kind of stuff. But it's still being operated by a human. Until the machine is able to stand in front of a net and not have anybody control it from an outside source and be able to register where that puck's going, that's full AI. And I don't think it'll happen in your or my lifetime. It's possible, but I think somebody will give it a shot.
Well, for the betterment of the show, I think we should both hope that it doesn't happen. Otherwise, the vlog's dead, and then the podcast dies, and then we gotta. Well, at least one of us has to find a real job. You have your full-time gig, but I'm gonna have to go work at Save on Foods or Walmart next.
Well, listen, it look good on Joe Pace, so why not you?
Do you want to get into that real quick? I did want to touch on the Halifax floods real quick and a little bit of travel stuff, but we got to start the show off hot this week. There's a video going viral. Our fearless leader, our emperor of the FPHL, legend, Joe Pace senior, by the way, or junior, excuse me. Video going around with the Mississippi Seawolves. He's at one of the local grocery stores there in Biloxi, and he's bagging groceries. And I'll put the video version up on the video version of the podcast. But he's bagging groceries, just helping out the community, helping a lady, take her eggs and her bread and whatnot home. She bought some Bud Lights, a couple Bud Heavies, and he grabs the Bud Lights, puts them in the bag, and somebody in one of the uncensored FPHL trash talk forums took a screenshot of him holding the Bud Lights, posted it, and labeled it that this was the official drink of the Mississippi Seawolves, the Bud Heavies.
Now, of course, that was what I'm assuming was a charity initiative, have the hockey players come in from the team, bag some groceries. Of course, obviously really good for promoting the hockey team. Hey, don't forget, hey, here's a couple of free tickets. But again, really good for, helping out. Hey, would you mind donating a few extra dollars for X and Y charities, which I always love those, and I think it's great when the players donate their time for that.
And for the record, I didn't talk to Joe Pace about this to clarify on the specifics, but I believe just showing up, just going to help out some people at the local grocery store wearing the Mississippi Seawolves jersey. I didn't see him giving away any tickets in the video that was posted online, but just helping out an old lady bag her groceries, get her vegetables, her chicken, and her Bud Heavies home. And what a great start to a Monday.
God love me. Well, listen, it's the FPHL. If you tag that saying Joe Pace picks up spare job to help pay bills, people would have believed that too.
I think it's more so the fact that he's holding a couple Bud Lights.
Yeah, probably. Probably. And I know it's going to lead us into a conversation a little bit later on in the episode, but I actually really do want to get into your Halifax story. For anyone that was watching the podcast last week with you in Halifax doing an interview with your former goalie coach and your vlog as well and your travels. Holy smokes. Did you dodge a huge wet bullet?
Literally.
Wow. Like, I texted you and said, man, you got out of there just in time. And you're like, oh, what you talking about? I don't know. What do you mean? Like, not a clue. Like, I was watching this going, God, like, you're the first person I thought. I'm like, man, like, literally by the skin of your teeth did you get out of there.
Yeah, it's crazy seeing just the devastation, the floods going on in Halifax. Obviously, thoughts and prayers to the wonderful people of Halifax and Nova Scotians out there, but just crazy just how it just rummaged the entire area. Train tracks washed out, people dead, people missing, houses floating, cars landing up on top of boats. It's just crazy. And obviously I was 10 12 days removed from that, and I got out just in time on the train. So again, thoughts and prayers to the people in Halifax. Your beautiful city. Hopefully we'll be back to normal soon, but yeah, it was crazy just seeing some of the video going on there.
Yeah, man. I mean I've got a lot of friends up in Fort McMurray, Alberta, where it's the I'd say melting pot of the East Coast. A lot of people have been coming out there since the late 70s, early 80s, and a lot of good people from Nova Scotia and especially Halifax. So yeah, I hope they're able to recover sooner than later, because they haven't seen anything like that in a long time. Actually, I believe on your blog you were talking about the mass devastation about the original train station that they had, and they had to rebuild real quick. So I mean, just on the heels of you talking about that, they're gonna have to go through another rebuild of a lot of infrastructure in that city. So man, oh man, I always find it fascinating that when it comes to priorities of rebuilding cities, when something like that happens, they put a lot of effort into the sports teams and making sure that they're able to get back into their arena or stadium or whatever it may be. And I think one of the reasons for that is it allows people a break. So like, oh, let's go do something normal and be able to do it in mass quantity with the community. And I know in some people's eyes it may look like that shouldn't be a huge priority, but I think it actually offers a lot of hope for people saying, if we can get this done, we can get other things done. So I'm pretty sure that the Halifax Wanderers will be able to get on the ice sooner than later.
I was going to say too, like the New Orleans Saints with Hurricane Katrina, that football team brought the city back together, and obviously the Super Bowl in 2009, was it?
I was down. No, it was before that. I was actually down there. It would have been 2007. I actually went down there after Hurricane Katrina, and the downtown French Quarter was fine. Superdome was fine. Casinos were fine. And I thought, all right, they're back to normal.
That was first on the checklist, the Chino. The Chino looks good. That's what matters here, fellas. The Motor City Rockers can come here.
I did walk out of there with a little bit of guilt because I went to the casino one night and managed to make back all the money that I spent on the trip going down there for the lady I was dating at the time. But I did turn around and donate to a few people. What I ended up doing is I ended up getting into a cab, and I said, "Can you take me to a few places that have been affected by Katrina?" And the guy looks at me and goes, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah." And keep in mind, this was about a year removed from Katrina, and he took me down into areas closer to Baton Rouge, and it was like it happened yesterday. Like, there was just nothing. After you start talking to some of the wait staff at restaurants and just people who are in the area who always have a smile on their face. I mean, that Southern hospitality thing rings true, but they said, "Oh no, I ain't back in my house in Nolens yet. I'm still down in Baton Rouge living with some random person out of the kindness of their heart, and because if I turn on the toaster and the lights at the same time, everything blows, and I could end up starting a fire." So I mean, it was, and that was a year after the fact. So just the resilience of those people, and I know the people of Halifax will have the same. So my hearts and prayers and all the good vibes that I can possibly have, I send out to Halifax these days. Because man, you just look from East Coast to West Coast, and there's something going on.
Forest fires, floods, everything everywhere. But I did want to say too, I am looking forward to seeing you on my next go around to Winnipeg when I come back in the fall. We'll get into that a little bit later, which is very, very exciting. Yeah. But I did want to give a couple quick shout outs. Obviously, we've been off the air, you and I, since over a month doing a real show.
You haven't, but I have. I've been replaced by some very handsome gentlemen, some goalie aficionados, including Mr. Ilya Brizgalov, which was an absolute pleasure to watch, by the way.
Yeah, that episode did really well on TikTok. A lot of people didn't know that Ilya was still around.
Yeah, and I love the fact that he's basically staring over top of his phone doing the interview like this, like, "Hi, Travis, how are you? Good to see you."
Yeah, he was, before we started recording, he was sitting in the bed. He's like, "I'm just going to put the phone like this, okay?" Like I was his crotch. But what a beauty. What an absolute beauty. I'm looking forward to having him come out to Watertown this year to be an honorary member of the team, drop the puck, a little play-by-play in the booth, and obviously his infamous 2 hot dogs and Cokes he wanted. Full sugar, full calorie Coke, none of the fake stuff that you and I drink, obviously.
And hopefully he'll get to meet your first classmate, Moose.
He's just such a funny guy, man. I can't wait to go spend some time talking to him. But I did want to give a couple quick shout-outs. Obviously, like I said, we've been off the air. I want to give a shout-out to Miles Worcester. He asked, "Hey, Trav, I love my mom. She drives me 90 minutes to the rink, 90 minutes back every time I go skate. Miss Worcester, shout out to you. You're an absolute beaut." Also, shout out to Sebastian Young, who's listened to 100+ episodes of the show, back to the old co-host all the way through you and I since day one. So, Sebastian, shout out to you. Also, Derek at Sobeys on Bishop Grandin in Winnipeg.
Hey.
I was checking out my groceries, had some eggs and some steaks, and he says, "You're that Trav guy." I said, "Yep." He said, "I listen to your podcast." I said, "Okay, well, I'll give you a shout out and let's find out if Derek's actually listening." But also the Patreon members as well. If you haven't hopped on the Patreon bandwagon, all the members should already have, assuming that the mail cooperates in time. Everybody's going to have their Sling the Biscuit mugs, as you see, and drink your coffee out of every single morning. You got Sling the Biscuit sweaters, that fresh, crisp white look. Looks awesome. And then obviously the trading cards, the Motor City Varberg rookie cards, the regular trading set from my days, college at VIU, Arberg, Varberg. Well, those kind of rhyme, actually. I just realized that. Flemingsburg. And then the holographic collector's set as well. And there'll be some new ones coming out later in the fall once things start rolling out in Watertown. But yeah, what better time to join the Patreon page right now? $5 a month. It starts at, and you can support us for as much as you want. There's a link in the description. And Dave and I just recorded a Patreon exclusive episode the other day too. So that should be up by now live by the time you're listening to the show on Sunday.
Bingo. Go get some.
Absolutely. You want to get into some FPHL news?
Yeah, sure. You want to start there? Or do you want to start with the Boston Bruins captain retiring?
You want to start off with a little bit of Bergie talk? I'll let you take that over, and then we'll go to the Fedzino.
Yeah, listen, we'll do that, and then we'll finish off with good money, NHL money. We'll slip down a little bit to the FPHL with news, and then we'll go into the upper echelon, into the stratosphere as far as possible earnings, and could rock the entire sports world. But big shout out to Patrice Bergeron, a guy who, listen, not a Bruins fan. When it comes to original 6 teams, I got to go with the Detroit Red Wings. That's just, when it comes to just the original 6 teams, that's the team I'm going to go with. So to me, any other original 6 team, but Patrice Bergeron, now that he's retired, I would love to speak highly of this gentleman. I mean, in the Hall of Fame of best two-way players of all time, like probably easily top 10, arguably top 5 best two-way players of all time. Guy was a leader right from the get-go. Anytime he put on a Canadian maple leaf and played for Team Canada, he was just He was an inspiration to that entire locker room, on and off the ice. Man, what a absolute beauty. 19 seasons in the National Hockey League, 1 Stanley Cup, 3 visits total to the Stanley Cup Finals. Players, like legendary players that are out of the game and still in the game, sending him notes saying how much he's going to be missed and what a contribution he made in the city of Boston. They've already announced that they're putting his number up to the rafters. He'll be the, I believe, the 12th player in Bruins history to have his number put up there. Just, man, what an absolute gem. Absolute gem. And I never would have said any of that if he was still playing with the Bruins. Big question is now, who do they put the C on? I'm really curious to see who's going to don the leadership role there. I think Marchand's too old. Plus, he's a rat. But I don't know how young they. Maybe McAvoy. Maybe they go that young. But I don't know how much of a leader he is. I mean, if you're going on sheer talent, maybe. But yeah, I think the Bruins have got a bit of a lead. Maybe not a leadership problem on their hands, but who's going to be the de facto leader of that squad?
I don't know. Maybe put Pasta. No.
Again, I don't know if but I don't know if you want to go to a. Pasternak does not seem like a lifetime Bruin to me.
Well, you don't know that yet. He's still on the team. He's only played for one team.
Yeah, I know. I can see him finishing off his career somewhere else. I don't know why. I just got that feeling, and I think they have that feeling too. I mean, it's not even wearing. Is he wearing a letter?
I think so. I think he's got an A. I could be wrong.
Yeah. See, I didn't even notice. Like to me, he's a goal scorer, prolific one, fantastic. He just doesn't stand out to me as a guy who's going to lead a team into battle.
Speaking of leading the team in the battle, we got some FPHL news. We got 2 Grizzled Vets to talk about first off. Is it okay we transition? Are we done with the Bergie talk?
Hell yeah, do it, yeah. Okay,
so the first thing off the top we did want to talk about was Joe Pace, obviously bagging groceries at the local Biloxi supermarket and carrying some Bud Heavies home for the older lady. But also, and we've talked about this in the show, I want to quiz you, Dave. Do you know who the second most all-time games played are in the FPHL?
Travis Ridgen.
No, I played 44 minutes, not 44 seasons.
I know it's.
I was traded with him.
White.
He was in the trade deal with me.
Big Sexy?
No, he was protected by Motor City.
Oh yeah, right. I don't know. Oh, Corrigan.
No.
You'll
get it eventually. There's only so many players in the league.
What do you got? Let me off the hook here. What do you got?
Dustin Henning has over 400 games played, second all time behind Joe Pace. 40 years young, single. No kids either. Great man. Great salad, by the way. Better mullet than I do. My hair got chopped, obviously, yesterday if you're on the video version, but Henry has an unreal salad. Former champion, former Watertown Wolf, won a championship in Watertown in 2018. But he is the second most all-time games played in the FPHL.
Wow. That's and how many games are in the regular season?
56, plus playoffs and preseason.
Jeez. So yeah, he's 9 years deep there. Wow. Good for him.
Yeah, some other times in other different leagues. I mean, the Fed's only been around for about 10 years, 10, 12 years now. So, yeah, he's basically played in every single game possible for the entirety of the FPHL prior to being the Fed, the FHL.
Out of curiosity, a guy like that, why in the league so long? I mean, is it he just kind of carved out a niche? Or I mean, why hasn't he moved up to the SP or the EC?
I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like some guys just get comfortable with where they're playing, and I don't want to speak on behalf of Henner. Maybe you know what? I'll probably bring him on the podcast during the season, and maybe he can share with us in person. But I don't know. I feel like you've played at a certain level, you get comfortable. There's obviously a certain pay that you're used to making, and maybe if you go up, maybe you make less pay because you haven't established yourself. Nobody knows what you can actually do. So I don't know. That would be a question you definitely have to ask him. I believe he was the captain in Port Huron the last 2 seasons. So Grizzled vet. But
what else you got?
As far as FPHL news go, now this was interesting. So the Motor City Rockers, my former team, they were doing a used jersey sale, and now they haven't auctioned off all of them. Any guesses for who the highest selling jersey was?
Well, I know the answer. Why don't you tell everyone?
How much?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, maybe you were part of the auction. What I don't know is how much more it was worth, but the highest jersey that was bid on that raised money was that of none other, our very own, one and only Travis Ridgen, and went for, I believe, $415 American dollars.
Yep, that's 580-ish Canadian dollars with the currency rate as of today on Wednesday. So almost 600 smackaroos for the jersey. I think the team only paid 200 for it, so that's a pretty good profit margin.
So, any idea who was next in line?
So I have no idea who bought it, and again, I would like to reiterate what we have talked about previously. During the season, when I'm in Watertown, especially when we come to Motor City, if you bought the jersey, I'm looking at the camera, if you spent $600 on my Motor City Rockers black jersey, I will personally bring you a Watertown jersey. I will pay for it out of my own pocket. I will trade you. I'll give you the proper Watertown jersey. I'll take the Motor City jersey back. I will auction it off myself, and I think we can auction it off for more than $600. We will take that money, and we will use that, as well as the other Columbus jerseys, Motor City jerseys, and other jerseys of mine. We're going to raffle them off, take the money, and fly some fans out into Watertown or the train, because I am a Via Points member, and I'm the highest prestige of points you can possibly get, so I could get more points off that. But we will have you come down to a game and give you an FPHL experience. That is the deal.
Are you, or do you just really want the jersey back?
A little bit of both. Well, no, I'm going to sell the
jersey. Well, listen, I think if you just want to do an auction, I mean, I think we can certainly auction off an all expenses paid trip to a game in Waterton. I mean, if you wanted to maybe float that out to some of the Patreon members, there'd have to be a minimum bid. But that's something that we can definitely explore, maybe off the air. But yeah, I really feel that somebody that paid that much for a jersey isn't probably going to want to let it go that quickly. So I think you got to respect the fact, like, no, jersey's mine. They're a fan. They want to keep that.
Well, now I'm curious, because it doesn't say online who bought the jersey and who won it. So I'm curious if somebody listening to the show was the one who won it. But just like, why did they buy the jersey and why for so much? Obviously, my beautiful girl from Victoria, I asked her, I told her about this when we were trying to solve this, and she says, well, it was probably the jersey with the least amount of action from the season, so it's probably in the best shape. There's no sweat stains, no cuts, nothing. And I looked at her, and I thought, I just got roasted by my girlfriend. I got rinsed.
That is a great chirp.
It's true, though. It saw no action
one
this
for Victoria.
What was that?
Give me the clean. Yeah, one up on the chalkboard for Victoria. And yeah, she's not wrong. It was probably the cleanest jersey in the entire bundle. That's for sure. God, that's hilarious.
I just got absolutely trashed by her. But I do like that idea, though. Maybe that is a better idea. Take all the jerseys from Columbus, Motor City, whatever, and it has to have my name on it. You have it. I'll give you a Watertown jersey that I pay for. So obviously not taking it from the team, but I'm going to pay for it. Give you it. Take the jersey back. Raffle them off. Take that money. Maybe one fan gets an all expense everything, like hotels, some money for the Chino, some meals, hot dogs at the rink, all this kind of stuff. Maybe some merchandise as well. Something along those lines. Maybe we'll work out some details, but I want to bring some fans out to Watertown and give you the ultimate FPHL experience, Watertown Wolves style.
Yeah, I can feel an idea hatching here. We just got to work out the finer details. So best thing you can do if you want to be part of that is sign up to be a Patreon member. That's where we'll probably drop the details as soon as we figure them out between our two marbled heads. And yeah, you can sign up for, as we mentioned earlier, for dirt cheap right now at patreon.com/slangandthebiscuit.
Absolutely. There's a link in the video description. But why don't we talk about my Marbleheads and where my Marbleheads are at currently. The presenting sponsor of the show, Sheath Underwear, they have been since day one. Sheath Underwear, cutting-edge technology, pioneered by a member of the U.S. military who was wearing his underwear for 6 weeks in a row in Afghanistan, had to flip them inside out, came home and said, you know what, I got to fix this. Enter Sheath Underwear. Sheath has some incredible technology from their dual pouch, which is a signature trademark, the original dual pouch, the original pouch technology for underwear, which is a separated, segregated compartment. Put your dick and your balls into so they don't stick to the side of your leg. They're not touching, they're not bad wagging, they're comfortable, and they're aerated, which is most important. They also have their cooling bamboo mesh, and Sheath has their original pouch underwear in a 8-inch sports performance model. So if you want to wear it to the gym, you want to wear it out to Muay Thai, whatever you're going, perfect for that. They got a 4-inch boxer brief, and also they have a new base layer. So the base layer, if you're out, playing hockey, you're sweating at the gym, Muay Thai, whatever, you want something underneath, they got an awesome base layer, and you can pick that all up by going to the link in the video description on the show or on the Apple Podcasting notes or the Spotify notes as well. And the code BISKIT69, BIZKIT, will get you 20% off the best underwear and base layers the money can buy, only from Sheath Underwear.
Listen, for all the moms that are listening out there, I know you're thinking about starting to do back to school shopping for the kids. Don't forget about back to work shopping for dad too.
Yeah, Dad needs some stuff for back to school season. I need some stuff for back to school season. Maybe Victoria can buy me some Sheath Underwear.
Never a bad time for birthdays, anniversaries, Father's Day, wedding day, whatever it may be. Start thinking about Christmas. Sheath Underwear, best money you can spend on underwear. And listen, for all the women listening out there, you know how much you're like, listen, I got to take care of these. I'm going to spend some money on a bra. Think about it the other way. Make sure your man's taking care of his stuff too.
So yeah, like Christmas time, like Dave, you're a dad. You of all people would know. When it comes to Christmas time, what do you get Dad? Underwear, socks, a shirt. Get us some Sheath. Make him happy.
Yeah,
Don't disappoint him
again.
Give
me underwear. Get me some Sheath. I'm totally down.
It's exactly what you want. Speaking of high value things going for great value, To date, as of right now, Watertown has sold 5 Watertown Wolves Origin jerseys for the start of the season, all of which will be delivered to any and all local members of the community when I report for training camp.
Good start. That's an amazing start. Speaking of high dollars and high prices, listen, I just want to talk to all of the people out there, whether you be in Canada, United States, any hockey nation, wherever you are. You might be feeling the pinch right now. You might be budgeting a little bit more than you expected. You might be feeling that extra hand going into your wallet when you're going to check out for certain things. So I just want to remind you that while all of us are digging through the couch cushions looking for extra change here and there just to avoid, shore up a few extra coins here and there, there's a guy by the name of Mbappe. That's what he goes by. He is a professional soccer player, 24 years old. He is the captain of the French national team, currently playing for Paris Saint-Germain, and currently making about, for easy math, we'll say $70 million a year. No small chunk of change. He's contracted until the end of this season. Paris Saint-Germain wanted to extend him for one more year, and he's like, no, I'm going to play out this season, and then I want to go play for my dream team. I'm going to go play for Real Madrid. And they went, why wait? Fine. See ya. We'll put you up on the trade block. Now, it's a little bit different in European soccer than what we're used to as far as trading player for player and packages and whatnot. They do more like what are called transactions, and they decided to put him up on the auction block. Now, there was a team that's owned Al Hadid, who is owned by the Saudi Public Investment Fund, who asked for permission to negotiate with Mbappe. And Paris Saint-Germain's like, go for it, absolutely. But keep in mind, the team is also going to make sure that they make a ton of money. And the reported value of the deal is throwing stones at $800 million overall for a 2-year deal, where it would see Mbappe make $221 million American dollars over the course of 2 years. So think of that when you're checking the couch cushions for that extra nickel or quarter.
What would you buy for $220 million? If I give you $220 million cash right now, if I can find a briefcase big enough to fit it, what would you buy?
My tombstone. And in saying that, I would like to offer a bit of wisdom for all of us out there that are struggling a little bit. This came across my screen the other day, and I really appreciate it. And I think we all know this, but I think it was a good reminder. Somebody said, if I gave you $10 million, said, here's $10 million, you'd take it, right? There'd be no question. It'd be like, thank you for the $10 million. I'm with my day. But if the catch was, I give you $10 million, but you don't wake up tomorrow morning, do you still take it? And the answer is probably no, right? It's like, no. So keep in mind, every day that you wake up and you open your eyes, that is worth more than $10 million. Waking up every single morning is worth more than a briefcase worth $10 million or full of $10 million. Keep that. Just don't forget that. Your worth is worth more than that.
You know what? You just made me realize. You come into this world with nothing. You come in naked. You don't own anything. I mean, technically you have inheritance possibly, but you come in with nothing and you leave with nothing. You leave everything here. Can't take it with you.
Mm-hmm. What do they say? Today's headlines are tomorrow's fish wrap.
Tomorrow's fish wrap.
Yeah, they're wrapping fish with it on the coast.
Oh.
Newspaper. Yeah.
That's true. It's very true. Or, like the fish and chip baskets, like the fries, chips, and a little newspaper, a little tartar sauce.
Bingo.
That's some good stuff. There's a really good fish and chip shop in Brandon my dad used to take me to as a kid. But anyway, that doesn't really matter.
Hang on. I do not want you talking at all about the great fish and chips you got in the middle of the prairies when you were on the coast in Halifax, where they have some of the best fisheries. And what did you do? You went and got what? What did you go get?
I got
Donaires?
cheap and I got donaire.
Every single day? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure they have great donaires there, but don't you tell me about the great fish and chips you had in the prairies when you just left the coast.
Okay, but am I wrong, though? Like, when you're going to be paying $40 for a lobster versus, you can get 2 jumbo donaires, like all the donaire sauce, not watered down, for less than, $18. That's a no. I was on a 5 or 6 day bender of donaire before I left Halifax. Like, what a way to go out.
When in Rome, do as the Romans do. I'm not saying you had to eat fish and chips every single meal, but you should have grabbed at least fish and chips when you were in the Halifax.
Only worst case, if I was there when the floods happened, I would have been riding out on a ship full of donaire. Just a giant donaire.
For the record, I do love it. I do love donaires. Don't get me wrong. I think they're amazing. I love donaires.
Donair kebab shawarma. There's just something
Fresh off the
awesome
spit.
about. Yeah. Like when they shave it too, they throw it on the flat top and all that grease. Toast up the naan with the Donair sauce and lettuce, tomato. God, and a little oh God, what do you call it? Baklava for dessert. Oh, what a way to finish a meal. Mm-hmm. That's the Middle Eastern way. But there was a couple things to talk about going from $200 to something $1 million. By the way, you didn't answer my question. What would you buy outside of a tombstone?
Yeah, outside of my tombstone, I would buy my family's generational wealth for the next 10 generations. I would make sure that everything was locked up for every kid that was born under the Wheeler name.
I'd be scared I'd buy something really stupid.
Well, listen, I mean, you always do that.
So
if that was the question, what would be the first stupid thing I buy? I would probably go and buy myself a basement full of old classic arcade games that I used to play. That would be awesome.
What about a mountain? Like, what if you bought like a mountain in the Canadian Rockies, built a house out there, and then kind of built your own like little like settlement so that like nobody could bother you?
No, I'm good.
That sounds pretty good.
Like I can think of better places.
Like where? Dubai?
So somewhere in the Caribbean would be nice.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. But there was a couple things that I did want to mention about the Watertown stuff before we capped off. First off, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Tate Leeson. Now, our general manager, Charlie Pence Jr. specifically, has been a man on a mission, an absolute lunatic, trading anything he can find, like little rocks on the side of the road, trading them to Virginia for guys' rights. He's picking up guys left, right, and center. He got the leading scorer in Elmira in Tate Leeson. And so he's going to be playing for us this season. And I just want to say he was playing in Sweden with Helfors when I was playing for Varberg in Sweden my last year. And Tate's girlfriend is also moving to Kingston, same place that my girlfriend is moving to during the season. So maybe they have a little friendship brewing there potentially. But I just wanted to say, Tate, just looking forward to playing with you and excited to get the season started with you, my friend.
Cool. Yeah, it's always fun going to a new dressing room and shaking hands, isn't it?
Yeah, it's exciting too. I mean, like you got guys like we talked about ET, who is net positive financially for me, borrowing $20 off him in Binghamton last season. You got guys like John Armentides. I played against him in Sweden. Now he's a teammate of mine, and I can't tell you how excited I am to play in Watertown. Just like our GM is taking care of me, makes me feel welcome, makes Victoria feel welcome. I don't know if we told the story or not, or if I'm allowed to or not. I'll tell it anyway, just to give. I know Charlie Pence Jr. gets a little bit of a bad reputation online in some of the forums, and I don't understand why, because him and I were talking on FaceTime a couple weeks ago, and on speakerphone, Victoria's sitting right here on the couch. I'm at the dining room table just talking to him, and he's like, "Hey, what size jersey does your girlfriend want?" And I looked at her and I was like, "I don't know, what size do you want? Just regular? Okay, sure. We'll get her a regular white home jersey. Just make sure she doesn't have like any ketchup or mustard on her hot dog when she's eating it, and she'll be fine." But just like to get her a jersey to make her feel welcome and let her know that like everything's gonna be okay. Come on down. You're part of the family. Obviously, he's been really great to make me feel welcome. I couldn't be more excited to play for the town of Watertown. Our team photographer, Nicholas, to our marketing sales guy, Todd Souls, to Ashley, all the other people involved at the ownership level. I just can't wait to come down to Watertown and play for you this season. I really can't.
Outside of you and maybe a couple of other guys that I've seen that have done podcasts, I think there's one guy that used to play in the Federal League that now does a podcast on his own.
The Babs guy, right? Babs or whatever he goes by.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, not Babs, the old goaltender from Motor City, but yeah, a guy who used to play and kind of reveals some of the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, he's doing UFC interviews now. He doesn't do FHL stuff anymore.
I would love to, and I think there's an appetite for it. I really do, based on some of the Enforcer documentaries that we've seen. I think people have a thirst, outside of the Road to the Winter Classic and documentaries that HBO Sports does and that kind of stuff. I think there's a thirst to kind of see what's it like down in a few of the lower levels of the sport, and kind of do it like I don't know if you were watching Quarterback on Netflix or not right now. Where they follow Patty Mahomes, Marcus Mariota, and Kirk Cousins. They have full access to them, like inside of their lives and their wives and the team and the locker room and their recovery and everything. I would be fascinated to watch a handful of guys in the league from different teams and do like a 3 or 4 part documentary on YouTube or wherever it may be, like well produced, well put together, because I think outside, I think the evidence of that is that people their entry into the FP is kind of through this channel and your vlog and everything, and there's a thirst for that, and I think it'd be a great way to promote the league as long as it was done really, really well and done with the understanding that Netflix is probably not going to pick it up, but if you did it on your own on YouTube and promoted it properly, I think people would really love to see what's it like being part of the traveling circus.
Well, I think that this season would probably be, if there was, I guess the opening of the gate to that avenue, because last year in Motor City they were very strict about talk about this, don't talk about this, etc., etc. And it seems so far in Watertown, it's more like as long as it's positive for the team, people are coming to the rink, everybody's happy, there's no negativity, anything goes. So I think that if there was something, this seems like this would be the avenue to open the doors to that. Obviously, I could never produce something like that because I'm playing. I can't operate the cameras, be doing interviews and all this kind of stuff because I'm focused on trying to stop pucks for the team. That's the number one priority. But I think that would be very interesting just to get to know some of the guys, to see some of their tendencies. Obviously, there'd be a lot of cutting room floor footage of the Chino, which could never make it into the full version.
But listen, I think you got to show the warts too, because I don't think people are expecting it to be the luxurious lifestyle that guys in the National League are living. And I think you got to kind of show what the grind is. And yeah, maybe sometimes you forget your jerseys. Maybe sometimes, the bus breaks down. Maybe sometimes you don't get your per diem for meals. Maybe sometimes your check doesn't clear. I think those are some of the things that people would be really interested in going, wow, what a love for the game. I think that's really the story.
Maybe your general manager trades himself at the trade deadline to another team so he can go win a championship. You never know.
Yeah,
and it's happened before.
Yeah, right. I think those are the stories that people would go, are you kidding me? Like that happens? Because I think they think it's like, oh, you're a professional hockey player. Everything must be gravy.
I'll tell you this: if they followed Joe Pace when he traded himself at the deadline to try to win a championship, that would have been like the ultimate HBO moment of, okay, guys, I dished myself. See ya.
I think that's one of the guys you'd have to follow. If you're gonna pick a handful of guys, you got to follow the veteran, obviously the guy with the most games played. You got to follow somebody who's just coming in, and I think you got to follow somebody who's been in the league a couple of years and looking to make his way up. I really think there's something to it. I think there's enough examples out there, and there's a formula that you could follow that I think it'd be, if I had the money, I would put it together. But guess what? I don't.
That's why you're on the show with me.
Right.
That's how I was able to lure you into the show. Well, I got about $100,000 in debt, Trev, so I guess I could use a couple extra bucks a week. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Sure. Yeah, just make sure you carry a mullet. I'll do it.
I lied to everybody this entire time. It was not a mutual respect and an admiration for our work. It was that Dave was in debt and needed something to make money, and I just so happened to come barking up the tree at the right time.
Yeah, I was at the corner of Peguis and Maine with a sign saying, "We'll podcast for food."
No, that's a lie, Dave. You were at the corner of Higgins in Maine.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. It was a quicker walk home.
Speaking of Higgins in Maine, actually, real quickly, I did want to say, so the plan was, I know we talked about how I was going to get down to Watertown. This is the official plan. Are you ready for this?
Ready.
So, obviously, as I mentioned, my beautiful girlfriend, Victoria, will be moving to Kingston, where she's going to be getting a job, kind of starting up some new stuff there during the season, right on the border between Watertown and the U.S. border. So she'll be able to come see me every single weekend, and then on weekends when we're on the road, I'll do whatever the team wants me to do, but then she'll come back for all the home games, which I believe we play like 90% home games the first half of the season up till Christmas, and then Christmas after, everything is like a road trip every single weekend. So that'll be good for us to kind of, I guess, ease into the road trip schedule. But we're going to be leaving Vancouver, driving to Banff. Now, I got to give a shout out to Gordon. He works at the Chateau Lake Louise. Now, I put up on the vlog channel, I did the Banff Jasper travel vlog, that I would love if somebody could hook up the Chateau Lake Louise, because I can't afford $800, $1,000 a night for a hotel. Well, getting hooked up quite nicely. I don't know if I should be saying how much.
No, don't say. Just you're getting hooked up.
Getting hooked up very nicely at the Chateau Lake Louise. So Victoria and I are going to be staying at the Chateau Lake Louise for 2 nights, and then from there we're going to boot scoot boogie all the way down to Calgary. Go see my Uncle Ed. Him and his wife Teresa cook a mean 3-course chicken dinner, and then from there down to Winnipeg for 2 nights, where you and I will meet up, and we'll do probably 1, if not 2 episodes of the show in person, because I haven't seen you since last fall when I left for Motor City. And then from there, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing your ugly mug. And then from there, Sault Ste. Marie for 1 night, and then down to her parents, and then drop off a bunch of stuff we have, and then she'll drop me off in Watertown. I think around September 25th, 26th-ish. And then our main camp starts October 1st, and they'll give me 5-6 days just to get settled into the apartments, meet the guys, maybe skate at rookie camp, kind of test out the hips, see how things are feeling. And it'll be basically our travel endeavors down from Vancouver to Watertown.
I look forward to seeing everything on the vlogs. I know you're going to be really good about documenting all that kind of stuff. And yeah, man, there's nothing like driving through the Rocky Mountains. It's an absolute beauty. So just remember that you got to go. You got to get across the country because, I mean, man, you could get lost in the beauty of those mountains every single time. And don't do what I did when my wife and I were traveling out to the West Coast in actually interior BC to see my brother a number of years ago. We were coming through Golden, BC, and there was a whole bunch of trucks that were lined up and people pulling over. And then we finally get to the front of the line, and there's a guy there waving you down, and there's roadblocks there. And I said, hey, what's going on? And he goes, accident, road's closed. And I said, okay, cool. Which one do I take? And he looked at me and said, you don't. Because there's one road.
Highway number one.
The mountains. Yeah, that's the only one. So we had to pull over and spend the night in Golden and get on the road bright and early in the morning when it opened up again. So yeah, just keep your eye on the prize there when you're traveling through.
But what a good place to be stuck. Like, what a good problem to have. Like, if you're stuck in Golden, BC, Revelstoke, Banff, Canmore, even Calgary to an extent, you're not too far away from natural beauty. Like, that's a great place to stay.
Yeah, no, man. There's a reason why my brother lives in interior BC. He absolutely loves it there, and it's amazing when you run into people who think, yeah, I love to go to Canada. I want to see everything. I want to see Toronto and Vancouver. And I'm like, how long are you there? They're like 3 days. I'm like, it's a big country, right? Like those are on opposite sides of the. Okay, hey, enjoy. Have a great trip.
My roommate / landlord when I was in Sweden, the boss man. I don't know if you ever remember him.
Yeah, of course.
So I think he's going to Toronto next month. I believe. I haven't talked to him in a couple months, but I believe he's going to Toronto. He said that the one thing he wanted to see when he came to Canada, because he'd never been in Canada, is he wants to see one of my people. He's like, I want to see an Indian. And I'm like, what do you mean Indian? He's like, the Indian people that Christopher Columbus came to find. I'm like, oh, those people. No. We're natives, and there's lots of them in Manitoba. You just got to come to Manitoba, and you'll find all of us.
Wow, the fact that story is still getting perpetuated. So, for those that don't know, Christopher Columbus showed his idea was leaving Spain, and he wanted to end up in India. Dude got lost, ended up in North America, and he's like, "Hey, look, brown people, we're in India. Those are Indians. I did it, everybody. Haha, pat on the back." And ever since, people refer to them as Indians when they're not. People from India are Indians.
I would have loved to have been a part of that conversation. I talk to Victoria about this all the time, like when we break down like the settlers and all the Europeans coming over. But Columbus and his boys, they roll up on the shore. You guys are Indians. No. Are you sure? No. You want to be? No. All right. Well, they're Indians, guys. We found it. We did it.
Well, welcome to India.
Sorry. What is this talking about, man?
We scattered history. We have a scattered history indeed.
I did want to say real quickly before we transition, Victoria and I just spent the weekend camping in Revelstoke, like in the Selkirk Mountain Ranges and whatnot, the Rogers Pass area. Stunning area. The respect and appreciation I have for the European settlers that came over, the David Thompsons, all those guys that mapped out everything, the Simon Frasers. I have a hard time hiking.
Family member of mine, Simon Fraser, family member of mine, buried in my parents' hometown. Yep.
Actually, really?
Yep. He's in my bloodline.
You're related to him?
Related, yeah. I think second or third cousin. Yep.
Okay. So maybe. Okay. So do you have any insight into the mapping of the mountains or no?
Look, we found a stream. My name's Fraser. It's Fraser River. Pat on the back. Good job.
Let's follow it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, a lot of it was trial and error. It really was. Miles McDonnell is another one that my family, and I'm not to pump my own tires here, but I actually come from a long line of explorers. Miles McDonnell and his father, Spanish John McDonnell, who's not Spanish, actually were the first ones to lead European settlers from the coast all the way to the prairies. And there's actually a school named after Miles McDonnell in Winnipeg. And there's, all the way along the road, if you're traveling Highway number 1, there's things about Simon Fraser, things about Miles McDonnell. So I think a lot of it was trial and error, and they just kind of, drew the map as they went along.
Well, I was saying more so the fact of like if you and I were to hike, let's say like Mount Revelstoke, or to hike up like Tunnel Mountain in Banff. Like there's a trail made up, but that's a literal hike. They call it a hike for a reason. You know, incline, all the terrain changes, everything. It's a challenge. But these dudes came in with no trail, no nothing, just said, let's do it. Let's figure it out. We'll find a way. And they did it for just weeks and months and years on end. And I don't know how they did it. I mean, obviously, like a lot of guys fell off cliffs and died and got mauled by grizzly bears. But just the I don't know how they did it. I have so much respect for the guys that mapped it out and just found all this stuff. It's crazy.
And they weren't wearing Patagonia or Columbia when they were doing it either.
No, they probably barely even had water bottles. They had no food. They're like, shit, we got to eat tonight. What are we gonna do? I don't know. Somebody find a river, find a fish. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Just the struggles they must have went through. I couldn't imagine.
Aliens.
But just
aliens.
Find some aliens in the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, well, listen, it's now officially part of the transcript on the Hill down in the United States of America. For those that haven't been following along, I have. And there was somebody who they were questioning in Congress and said, "So, sir, you're claiming that there have been downed ships of unidentified nature, and have you recovered the pilots of said ship?" And he said, "Yes, we have recovered the bodies of the pilots of those ships." She goes, "Are they human or non-human?" He goes, "Non-human, and people that recover them are still working on the program." So that's actually in the transcript now in Congress, that there's somebody from that district who has admitted, yes, we have, yes, everything, yes. And the timing of this is perfect. Keep in mind, this new movie Oppenheimer that's out with Cillian Murphy, who's likely going to win an Oscar for that one. My God, what a movie. Too long. Get a better editor, but incredible movie. The timing of the whole Roswell, Mexico thing, think about this for a second. You create the atomic bomb. You finally figure it out, and you have this weapon of, weapon of mass destruction, but a major breakthrough as far as our evolution as humans and things that we've been able to figure out through science. Next thing you know, we've got aliens showing up because they're probably watching from a distance going, they just haven't figured it out yet. We got to let them figure it out on their own. Oh, hey, look at that. They figured out atomic energy. All right, let's go for a visit. You're supposed to turn left. Roswell.
Have you seen Oppenheimer yet?
I know I made that really short and really compact, but if you actually do the red yarn and the pin tacks, it makes sense.
I just want to say, don't spoil the movie because I do plan to go see Oppenheimer on Tuesday on Cheap Night with Victoria after we see Barbie. But I'm really excited to go see Oppenheimer.
Dude, too long, 3.5 hours. If you're going to start making movies that long, I'm okay with it. But go back to the way they used to, when you were going to the theater and you were going and sitting down and watching the opera. Have an intermission. Literally. The theater is going to love having an intermission. I mean, you sit there for an hour and a half and there's like, dude, let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves a snack. They're going to love the fact that you're going for more popcorn and a drink, chance to go pee. 3.5 hours? No, most normal human beings can't do that. They can't even do that on a flight, for crying out loud.
Oh, that's a long movie. That was a concern that Victoria and I had too. Was we have to go see like the 6 p.m. one because if you go for like the 8, 9 p.m., that's going to be a late night. But a little intermission break, a little chuckle puck, maybe in the main lobby, win some prizes.
Yeah, totally. I think it's a great idea. If you're going to have a movie over 2.5 hours, even 2 hours, have an intermission.
You've seen Oppenheimer though, right? You went to go see it?
Yeah, too long. Great movie.
Don't spoil it.
Don't
spoil it. Out of 10, what do you give it?
11.
Really? Also, I'm getting a bargain if we're going on Cheap Night on Tuesday then.
I am not selling it short by calling it an absolute masterpiece. And when you do go see it, keep in mind that Christopher Nolan, the same Christopher Nolan that gave you Tenet, the same Christopher Nolan that gave you Inception, the same Christopher Nolan that gave you the entire Dark Knight trilogy with Christian Bale, the Batman movies, did this movie with zero CGI. Zero. All practical effects.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm really excited on Tuesday to go see this movie now. Mm-hmm. I was going to say, though, speaking of Inceptions, speaking of things that you need to know, this next presenting sponsor for the show, Manscaped.com. You got to groom your shroom this summer season. It's back-to-school season coming up right on their corner, and the last thing you want is your dog looking like a dropped hot dog on the floor at Costco full of hair and shit. You don't want that. Manscaped.com is here to fix it both with the boys below the belt and the beard hedger. I use the Manscaped beard hedger. You see this on the video version, how tapered I look today, Dave, or no?
Oh, man. You were looking, as you would say, early and often. You're looking nice and tight up there. Well done.
Yeah, Boney's ready. And not the Boney you think, not the Zamboni, because I put the bone in Zamboni when I get the Manscaped beard hedger. Now, the Manscaped beard hedger has 20 different lengths. So you can really taper it in, fade it in, dial it in the way you want. It has a 90-minute battery life, charged with a USB-C, so it's fast charging. It's also waterproof, as we've talked about before, so you can't electrocute yourself. And right now, if you go to the link in the video description at manscaped.com, use the code BISKIT, B-I-Z-K-I-T, you'll get 20% off and free shipping only from the team at Manscaped. And same thing for the Apple and Spotify podcast notes. Just click that link when it's safe to do so. Enter the code BISKIT. Boom. You're ready to roll
and
back
it's
to
even
school.
got a guidance light. I love it. It's like, you know, your cell phone's got that little flashlight when you're like, doot, 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 doot. Same thing. It's got a little flashlight in there so you can get down and see all the nether regions. All right, listen. Speaking of intermissions, it's summertime. People got stuff to do. I know you got a few more things on the docket here. I'm going to give you your choice of one thing before we wrap here. You either get the cowboy hat or you get the bald-headed guy. Choose one.
I can't do both?
Nope. You get one.
We got to do the cowboy hat.
Okay.
Oh,
go for it.
Am I starting?
Well, you want me to? Listen, the only reason I don't want to is because it's not my genre as far as music goes.
What are you talking about? You're a music nerd. You know everything about music.
I'm a music nerd, but I'm not a country music guy. Like, I report on rock and roll. I report on a contemporary hit radio. I do a top 40 radio show. What?
Hold on for a sec. So we're going to talk about Jason Aldean. And I just want to say for the record, Jason Aldean, although he does have a little bit of country twang, he's a hard rock band. Like, you can't tell me you listen to his songs and don't hear the Van Halen inspiration and a lot of that hard 80s and 90s rock inspiration. He's a rock and roll guy.
That's what modern country is. Modern country took the tropes of what the Aerosmiths did back in the day, and they've always had fantastic guitars, but it's a much more well-produced oiled machine, and that's what modern country is. There's a big difference back in the day between country and western, but now it's just churn out the latest. I got my feet in the sand and a beer in my hand, and I love country music. But Jason Aldean decided to make a song called "Try That in a Small Town." Now, I'll pull up the lyrics here if you want. And this is, if you haven't seen the headlines about this, dude is absolutely getting destroyed by leftist media, saying that the song is racist, saying the song supports lynching and all of some pretty awful things that happened pre and post civil rights movement. But try that in a small town lyrics. All right, I'm just going to read you out the lyrics here. Sucker punch someone on a sidewalk, carjack an old lady at a red light, pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think it's cool? Well, act a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag, and light it up. Yeah. You think that's tough? Well, try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Round here, we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't. Try that in a small town. Got a gun that my granddad gave me. They say one day you're going to round up. Well, that shit might fly in the city. Good luck. Try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Blah, 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 blah. You can Google the rest. But people are saying, oh my God, this is so racist and he should be canceled and not supported. Song's number one on iTunes, by the way, right now. Number one on iTunes. Because you basically
to number one.
Given him all the promotion that you want. People are like, oh, it's something offensive. I got to go. Hey, wait up for me. People are rushing to go hear this thing. And that's the way it always works. But what I do find, and keep in mind, as you started off this by saying, I am a music fan. I've been researching and loving and curating music almost my entire life. It's been a nucleus of who I am. And I can appreciate almost every genre of music, almost every single one. And I've even explored, the dark black metal of Scandinavia. There's certain things that I can pull out of that I enjoy. So in saying that, I have fully come to the defense of artists in the rap genre when they're, NWA was Straight Outta Compton was a wonderful film representing the guys like Ice Cube and Eazy-E and Dr. Dre, where they said, we are singing about a reflection of what we see every single day when we walk out the front door. People think, you can't talk about shootings and you can't. He's like, this is our reality. This is what we're going through. And I was quick to jump to the defense of them. So I'm going to be quick in the same breath to jump to the defense of Jason Aldean. This is how the guy grew up. This is what he sees. Small towns, then compared to the big cities where you do see a lot of riots and you do see a lot of people acting a fool, running their mouths and throwing guns in people's faces. In comparison, he's just talking about his reality. He's just talking about what he grew up with. So if you're going to be able to support one side of that, you got to be able to support the other side of that. Even to the point where we have this very aggressive set of lyrics coming out of a lot of female rappers, with that of Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion and Ice Spice and the list goes on and on and on. Fully support it. If you're going to put that under the category of art, and this is acceptable because it's art, then you got to accept it on the other side too. Just because the dude's a country bunkin' and he's wearing a cowboy hat doesn't mean that you can shuffle him off the same way that you were shuffled off by other people on the other side of the aisle.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Wait.
I mean, like the dude's from Macon, Georgia, and also shout out to the Macon Mayhem SPHL team, which is where he's from. But he's a Southern guy. He's a hard Trump supporter, hard conservative, MAGA lover, and I think
He's allowed to do that.
He's allowed
Last
to
time
do
I checked,
that.
that's not against the law.
There's nothing wrong with golfing with Donald Trump and advocating for being a conservative, being a cowboy, wearing a hat, and telling people that, hey, F around, find out. And the more you F around, the more you find out. The less you do, the less you find out, right? Simple as that. I'll tell you this. I've always enjoyed Jason Aldean's music. Like we talked about, he's a hard rock guy with a little bit of a country twang. When this song...
Nah, he's a country guy with a little bit of a hard rock edge. Let's not give him too much credit.
Okay, but you can't tell me you listen to Try That in a Small Town and you hear country. You hear a hard rock song with a country singer.
Nope.
You don't hear
That's
that?
a country song. That's a country song.
Okay, well, we can disagree, and that's fine. But but I've always been a fan. But when I started seeing on my YouTube recommendation page, Jason Aldean's a racist, he's this, he's that, I was like, oh, I'm going to go look into this and make my own opinions for myself. And then I started
do your own research.
Well, then I started getting down the rabbit hole of people saying that his wife is a gay hater and a transphobe and all this kind of stuff. And I'm watching this stuff, and I'm like, these are just normal people having normal opinions. Like, don't push shit on my kids. And have some respect, essentially, is their message, along with I like to golf with Donald Trump, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to golf with the man, go golf with the man. You're probably both better golfers than I am. But I started getting into his music and started uncovering some more great hits that I'd never even heard of before. And now I probably downloaded, by the way, I pirate my music. I don't pay for Spotify or Apple Music. I pirate it and then I sync it to my phone, which you can still do.
You son of a gun.
I don't use LimeWire or BearShare because those aren't around anymore, but I use like YouTube to MP3. I download it, I put it on my computer, and then I sync it to my phone. But I probably
Listen,
added...
are you a YouTube Premium member? I assume you are you not?
No.
Huh.
I'm
As a
cheap.
creator, I figured you would be.
I'm from Winnipeg. I'm the most frugal of frugal people you can find.
That's how we learn.
But I probably threw on like 10 or 12 different Jason Aldean songs I never heard of because of this. Like I don't think people realize like if you take a situation like this, you label this guy as a racist, a white supremacist, and all this other crazy stuff, and then people hear it and they're like, "You're a lunatic." It only makes you want to support his music even more. I started listening to more Jason Aldean because of it. If you would have just left it alone, I probably would have forgotten and would have just had the 5 or 6 songs on my iPod as is. But hey, Team Jason Aldean here.
That's the thing, man. They say no such thing as bad publicity. It just depends on the kind of publicity. Yeah, let's wrap things up. People, it's summertime. People got things to do. We're getting into August here right away. We've only got about 7 weeks left of summer here. So, yeah, give it a wrap.
Absolutely. Well, on behalf of Dave Wheeler and myself, Dave is the morning show radio host for Wheeler in the Morning on Energy 106 in Winnipeg, and the #1 morning radio show in the city, has been for 20-plus years. I myself and Travis Ridgen, number 33 for the Watertown Wolves. Man, does that feel good to say. Number 33 for the Watertown Wolves in the FPHL, the Federal Prospects Hockey League, 5th level of pro in North America. And I look forward to playing in front of all the Watertown fans this season and doing this podcast for you every single Sunday, along my incredible co-host, Mr. Dave Wheeler. We are back next Sunday, as we do every single episode on Sundays, at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 in Winnipeg, 9 in Calgary, 8 on the West Coast. If you have a comment, you have a question, leave it in the comment section below. Me and Dave are always in the comment section and love to chat with you about it. And until then, we will see you next Sunday.